So Nintendo filed a patent last year that just became public today for what could bring back one of the Super Nintendo's greatest peripherals. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now first of all, patents are filed by companies all the time and they never do anything with it, but I thought this one was pretty interesting and this popped up over at the US Patent Office this morning, and the title of the patent is Shooting Game System and Entertainment Facility. So what this appears to be is a patent for some type of augmented reality shooting gallery. Now I'm not going to read through this whole abstract because it has a whole bunch of jargon in it, but it is on the screen here if you want to look through it. But anybody who's been to any kind of amusement park usually sees like these shooting galleries. Most of them use like either lasers or something in order to shoot items on the background. Well, it appears like this might be a patent for some type of augmented reality type shooting gallery. So we'll take a look at this first image here. You can see where someone kind of comes up and can grab the little gun, and it shows like a shooting direction. It shows probably like where the gun would be holstered. And it also indicates that there would be a gun PC under the table here, and I guess that's used to, read the AR stuff that you're pointing at. And next we'll take a look at figure 4, and this is like an overhead view of an amusement facility, and you can see the layout here where you have the people going up into each little booth at a table. And if you go from where the people are standing, you've got those little black boxes. Those are where the gun and the PC are. And then to the left and right, you can see 3 light-emitting diodes, and these are going to be infrared lights, so you're not going to be able to see this light. And then the checkerboard section across through there is going to be the AR marker board, and we'll get into that in just a minute. And then next up, you can see ceiling-mounted projectors that would be projecting to a screen, and that's that solid line across the top. And the best way I could figure out how this works based on the description is you have that infrared LED that's lighting up these AR markers, and each of these markers have like a unique pattern to them. You can see one of those right here. And based on the grid layout across the floor of these markers, the infrared camera that's in the tip of the gun can kind of calculate where the gun is pointing. So this is sort of a new take on those old shooting galleries. And I don't believe anything like this already exists at, say, Super Nintendo World. I'm actually heading there in December, so I've been reading up a lot on what's in the park and what to expect and what I want to do, and I've not seen anything like this. And I did give another quick search this morning and still haven't seen anything like this. So this does appear to be something new that Nintendo is patenting, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do anything with it. But with the shooting gallery being set up with projectors, they could have all kinds of different themes here. They could have, say, a duck hunt version, or they could even have a theme based off of the Super Scope 6 from the Super Nintendo. And part of the reason why I mention that here is because of this image here. You've got 2 different gun types. You have the top one here, which is kind of like the light gun on the NES, although maybe not quite as long of a barrel, but again, this is just a mock-up. But then the bottom one here really looks a lot like the Super Scope 6. You can see an image here side by side of both of them. And another thing I want to point out is if you notice in the back of the gun, it does have a little speaker, so I guess that's where the sound comes when you pull the trigger. And then if you look at the imaging direction on the gun, you'll notice that's actually pointing down and not straight ahead. So it's reading those AR markers across the floor. So even though you're pointing at something at the screen, the camera in the gun is actually looking down at an angle. So this is again how it calculates where you're pointing the gun. And they do have some more drawings on how these AR images are calculated. I'm not going to show all those here. I think I gave a decent description of how all that works. But another thing that I wanted to point out is it looks like you'll have a selection screen as to which type of gun you want to choose, whether you want that NES Zapper type or you want the Super Scope 6. So it looks like you pull the gun from the holster, you hit the button or the trigger on the gun you want, and then it knows which one you've selected. And then next you can see here in figure 11A and B, you have a front game screen, and then you also have a ceiling game screen. So it looks like it can project whatever it is you're shooting, and then I guess kind of give some clouds or whatever would be up above you. So So this is definitely an interesting patent here filed by Nintendo, and I do have to wonder if this again will ever come to fruition. I know there's been talks about expanding Super Nintendo World with maybe a Legend of Zelda area. I don't know if a shooting gallery would really fit in with there. I mean, maybe they could have a Link's crossbow shooting option here to choose from. But as someone who really loved these shooting galleries as a kid, this is something I'd really love to try out. I mean, in reality, Nintendo could put this just in some type of arcade for anyone to experience. Or perhaps it might be something they might set up for some type of road event where people can come in and play various games in this whole AR shooting gallery. And I can definitely see all kinds of possibilities of older IPs being brought forward. Not only do we have Duck Hunt, but you could still bring back Hogan's Alley or maybe something like Wild Gunman. And does anyone remember Gotcha the Sport? I've always been a huge fan of light gun games, especially, some of the games that Sega had, like House of the Dead, or maybe Virtual Cop. However, the way that LCD and OLED or whatever flat screen TV you're talking about work today, there's just too much latency for the typical light gun game to work. So with something set up like this, with a whole dedicated facility that's calculating where your gun's pointing based off of markers on the floor, it definitely can add a whole new set of options for light gun game fans. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Were you a fan of these older light gun games? Did you own a Super Scope 6? And are there any games that you would like to see brought to some type of shooting gallery like this? Whether it might be NES titles like Duck Hunt, Hogan's Alley, Wild Gunman, or maybe some games from the Super Nintendo days, like you could have Lethal Enforcers, again, the Super Scope 6 games, and maybe even something like Terminator 2, the arcade game. And then, of course, who could forget Link's crossbow shooting? Or instead of bringing back a retro classic, do you think that Nintendo might just try something completely different? Maybe they come up with some separate Mario or Zelda themed shooting game that we've never seen before, and the only way you would ever get to experience that is to come here to their AR shooting gallery. Drop your comments below and let me know your thoughts. And if you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. It really does help the channel out quite a bit. I want to thank you for watching, and be good.